Good morning, Facebook. Glad you guys could join me. Just getting the show set up. That's got to go. Hope everybody had a good weekend. A little exciting on Friday, a little depressing on Saturday. Sunday was depressing. Football, of course I'm talking about. A little tea for the throat. Just trying to get the... There you go. Do. There you go. Hey, Mary Polinsky, good morning. Glad you could join me. Always enjoy when you're on here. Just getting the show set up, as I was saying. And we'll start here in about a minute. There you go. Hey, Mary Polinsky, good morning. And then we'll turn that up. Always enjoy when you're on here. Today we're talking about the school referendum, and Dave Hoekstra is going to join me in studio. He's a solid no. We shouldn't be doing this. So we're gonna talk to him about it and get your comments too. I hope. Be a good thing, right? I think so. I know so. There he is. He's coming in right now. We are almost set. All right, here we go. As soon as I get everything set up. David! Back here in the closet. Back here in the room. Hey, dude. Have you ever been in this one?
Nope.
Oh, you're in that corner.
You.
You're in that corner chair.
This one? I can't punch it.
And this is the camera that's on you. Nope. Well, yeah, you gotta. Yes. Please, sir.
How you doing? How was your weekend?
That's good. Right now you are on Facebook Live.
Gotcha. I'll keep it clean.
Huh?
But I'll keep it clean. The Packer game yesterday. Oh, what a terrible game.
Oh, jeez.
Do I need these on?
If you want to, it gives you a better sound, but you don't have to. I'm putting mine on so I can really hear your voice. You'll hear the show too. But so we're talking about. What are we talking about today?
Oh, just life in Wisconsin, Packers, Badgers.
Oh, you got notes and everything. Holy crap. Okay, here we go.
Well.
I gotta get this show started.
Good morning, Sun Prairie. Time to rise and shine.
What?
Time to pour the coffee with Bill.
Who wants to be human? You got plenty of
Time
coffee?
to rise and shine with Bill.
He has all the ingredients for disaster.
Time to get going with Bill.
He is phenomenal.
Welcome.
Packer game was a disappointment.
With your host,
Badger game, disappointment.
Yeah, not a good weekend for Wisconsin football.
Mary Polinsky's watching.
Hi, Mary.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Good Morning Sun Prairie. I'm Bill Baker, your host, and glad to be back in the saddle on a chilly willy Monday. I can't believe they're actually thinking about having flurries or something. When I say they, I don't say they are planning on having flurries today. I don't know. Had them last week, too. I had a meeting last Thursday, sitting in the library boardroom. All of a sudden, this snowstorm happened, which that was kind of interesting. But Teresa Stevens and I noticed immediately that there's snowflakes coming down. Like, what the hell is that all about? You know, so I don't know. But hey, interesting weekend. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Friday was fantastic. 76-7 over Stoughton, which propels us into the playoff series. Sun Prairie East will be going against Oregon on Friday, and then Sun Prairie West made it into the playoffs this year. They get to go up against DeForest for a rematch, which is kind of cool. Excited for them. First year out, and they're in the playoffs. Nicely done, gentlemen. Appreciate that very much. And I'm proud of them. Very proud of them. Badgers, don't want to talk about it. Packers, man, I don't know what's going on. But I like Roger's comment, something about go back to basics. Let's make this simple. Yeah, well, Lombardi was always... sweep right, sweep left. They knew it was coming. Just try to stop it. I don't know. We'll see. But there's a lot of football left in the Professional Football League. Week 6, right? Coming up on week 7, I think it is.
Yep.
And so we got plenty of time to really get back into the groove. And yes, people, football is what life is all about in Wisconsin right now. And if you don't believe that, get over it, okay? Because it is. You're listening to 103.5 WLSP, The Sun. We're underwritten by those wonderful folks at the Bank of Sun Prairie. And, of course, the Baker Realty Group, where we always bring you home or get you home. And lately, it's been a little challenging getting those homes. And we could talk a little bit about housing later. But this morning, I've got a dear friend in studio, somebody that you know, somebody that you voted for, somebody that has been a huge positive in our school district for like a gazillion years.
7 years ago.
Until he stepped
down.
down. He's trying to talk and his mic's not on. I get to control the buttons, which I love. Here, I'll turn you on. Dave Hoekstra is in the studio, and we're going to talk about the referendum. We're going to talk about, saying no to the referendum. There are two sides. I know, I'll get calls from Brad Sarin later going, what are you doing? And I'm sure that Dave will get calls too.
Well, I've had coffee with Brad, and he knows exactly where I stand. I know where the district stands, and
Yes.
sometimes you have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about that. $9 million referendum coming up on November 8th. November 8th or 4th?
November 8th.
Yeah, thank you. And if you haven't registered, you can go to and still register. You got plenty of time. We're going to talk about that, so let's do this. Let's get the show started, and then we will come back and talk with Dave Hoekstra. Don't forget, Sunshine Supper is tonight, and I want to say that it's Sun Prairie Methodist Church, and it's scalloped potatoes and ham tonight. Yum. So let's get the show started, and as we do with every single show that's out there, let's go fishing right here in the dark with Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Good morning, everybody. Grab your tea, grab your coffee. Get up! I gotta turn that one down. That'll be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I'll try to stick to facts. Mostly I do. But,
Don't forget you're on Facebook right now, too.
Yep, I get it.
That's a good thing. That's all right. That's all right. How you been?
I have been good.
Yeah?
Good. Busy, I guess. But
You were up
good.
north?
Spent a lot of time up there this summer.
Yeah.
And been back home for a couple of weeks, so I'm kind of getting the,
Oh, yeah.
getting the itch to get back up there sometime this week.
So do you guys close it down?
No, it's year round.
Okay, cool.
I call it a cabin, but it's a house.
It's we had when Gene and I were married, we talked about place up north on the lake and all that. And we ended up buying a boat.
It's a place on a lake up north. You know, you can.
Oh, the boat
pick your
costs
place.
as much as a house. I mean, 36 feet, 11.5-foot beam.
That's not a boat. That's a yacht. It's a yacht.
You could sleep 8 on it, full head, full galley, all that, and it was over in Mendota. So you can go around in circles. People are like, why don't you put that in Michigan? Well, then I have to drive to it. And if I'm going to drive to it, then I might as well have a place up north. And they said, well, why don't you put it up north? Where?
Lakes are not big enough.
Right. But, yeah, escaping to the north would be good.
It is. It's good for the soul.
Oh, my gosh.
How about you? How you been?
I'm good.
The real estate market has definitely changed in the last year, I'm sure.
We had, well, everybody's talking about the market crashing right now, and it's not. I had wrote an offer last weekend on a house up in Partyville, $150,000. I had a first-time buyer, 16 offers on that house.
Still sell homes for $150,000?
In Partyville, you do. Then I had one this week. Right out, some folks wanted to buy the house. The agent listed it for $339. They're doing this pricing game crap, which I don't agree with. It should have been priced at $359, and they didn't. So they had 6 offers when I had talked to them. If they'd priced it at $359, they probably would have gotten $370. But somehow, somewhere, somebody gave them the idea if you price it low and you get a bunch of people in there, you can create a feeding frenzy, and it's a good thing. And I do not agree. Kathy, good morning. Kathy Enstead.
Hi,
Hey, Kathy, are you still teaching, or did you retire?
I'm still teaching, I believe. Just change roles.
She said good morning to us. She changed roles?
Yes, she was the Avid coordinator, and now she's a technology teacher, I want to say.
What'd she say?
She's back in the classroom.
She says, I'm teaching. She said, teach, I-N-H. It's not spelling, though. Kathy, do you remember Alex's first day many years ago? Who, by the way, just turned 28 this past week. I'll share the story on air, but she probably doesn't remember. You've had so many kids. Yep, listen. Yep. Can you see on your phone? You can see what people are saying on your phone if you put it on Facebook. I can send it to you too. Kathy, you are one of the best. I'm going to tell you that. I know for a fact. You are on. I just sent it to you.
Via Facebook?
Uh-huh.
Messenger?
Now let's put it on your profile.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Lois Schultz. Hey. A Merrill resident. We get them all the way from Merrill. Hey, Lois, you're going to like... I got 2 teachers on right now. This is great. Lois retired and she doesn't know what to do with herself. Actually, she does. She's driving between 2 colleges watching her girls swim. Got about 2 minutes.
2-minute warning.
76 to 7. It could have
That's
been
a lot.
90.
You did that game, right?
Yeah. They dropped 3 touchdown passes. The guys are wide open, right in their hands.
Yeah.
Connor Stoff off his chest. I mean, it never happens, but Cortez Legrand dropped the ball in his hands. Wide open. Wide open. Would have been in. Yeah, another 21 points. Right there.
That might have been ugly. 97?
Yeah. But you know, the thing is that Kaminsky, he did everything he could. We'll talk about this in a second. This will be a good story to talk about with the kids and all that. Less than a minute.
Studio with a window. That's nice.
I know, right? The library's going to wrap around it. I'd like them to take out this whole thing, make it all glass.
People can harass you when you're doing your show.
So it could be like aminals at the zoo.
There you go.
All right, here we go. You gotta love that little Bachman Turner overdrive. First thing in the morning, let it ride, and we are right here on Good Morning Sun Prairie, and glad that you could join me this morning. I got teachers all over Facebook this morning. I've got Dave Hoekstra in studio, a former school board member, and we got some stuff to talk about. We got referendum to talk about. His quote of the day is "Say no," but we're going to get to that. Now, let's talk about something important, though. Let's talk about 76 to 7 Friday night against Stoughton. 76 to 7. I mean, that's a game that you'll never forget.
Yes, that's solid offense right there, Bill.
Or very little defense. Actually, I got to tell you, I thought that Stoughton was a very classy team in the way that they knew they were getting beat, but the way they handled it. And the coach, he kept the number ones in all game. You know, the thing is, people always say to me, well, why does Kaminsky run up the score? I'm going to tell you right now, he doesn't run up the score. He puts his 2s, 3s, 4s, the water boy, some of the dancers and all that. They're out there playing, but they're just that good. And then how do you say to a kid who's been practicing since spring, 2-a-days in the summer, right? You know, going through the whole process, learning his plays, he gets in there, and you say to him, don't run for daylight.
Yeah, it is what it is, you know. Sometimes there's some inequalities on a high school football team, and so be it.
We're so fortunate. A.J. Colvin comes in, and basically the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, scores 3 touchdowns. Running. We didn't pass the ball at all in the fourth quarter. I know Max Weimer, he wanted to. He was dying to, but no, A.J. And A.J. was carving through their number one defense. And where Cortez Legrand was having a little bit of trouble. But A.J. was in there. And you know what's great about that kid?
What's that?
He's a junior.
Oh, yeah.
We get him back next year.
Yep. Cardinals got a good football team.
Well, so does West. West, I think, has a really good team. They gotta figure out how to play together. And we got some of the play calling. That's another thing. But we won't go into that. I'm not going to criticize. I'm a good armchair quarterback. I'm a damn good armchair quarterback. Let me tell you.
A lot of opportunities for doing that this weekend with the Badgers and the Packers.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sun Prairie West, who plays DeForest in the playoffs this week at DeForest, I have a feeling they're going to beat them. Because they're beatable. They held them in the first half last time. Just 2 weeks ago. And special teams is where they lost it. Punt all the way down at... I can't remember who the return was, who was going to return it. And he was going to let it bounce and go into the end zone. It took a hard right and went out at the 1 foot line.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh my gosh, now the Wolves are backed up to the 1 foot line. And then they went into a shotgun setup. You don't run a shotgun in the end zone unless you're going to have a quick pass, a quick slant or something like that. But they ran it. Even Jalen Dane has a little problem starting 5 feet away from the line of scrimmage to get out 1 yard. Safety. I wouldn't have called that. It would have been a quick slant or something like that, real quick. But or come up under center and hand the ball off, and where you're maybe 2 yards away. But anyway, see, armchair quarterback, buddy.
Well, they get another second chance at them. So
I think they'll do well. Sun Prairie's going to play Oregon this week, and then we'll take on DeForest or Sun Prairie West in the second round. It's where the third round. We get home this week. I believe we get home next week, and then the third week is a neutral, if I'm not mistaken. So, what's really cool is Wanakee is now Division I in the playoffs, so we will not see Wanakee, which I'm a little disappointed about, because I think if we went up against Wanakee to this time, now we'll whoop them. I don't know what happened in their first game, but I don't know.
yeah, it's a great time of year. Football playoff.
That's all you got to say about that?
That's it. I didn't come here to talk about football, Bill.
Yeah, you did. Football. Hey, if we don't have a school, we wouldn't have football. All right.
True.
Here's what we're going to talk about. Now, Dave's a buddy of mine, and think the world of him. I take his advice. I listen to his advice. Helped me in my campaign for city council. Brothers in faith. Like I said, we know each other. Would do anything for him. Then he did this. He came in and says, no, that referendum, no, that's a no. That's a big fat no. And I said, Dave, but what are you talking about, man? It's not affecting us, really. We're not paying any more in a tax. Actually, the numbers are going to go down based on all the construction on it. And he still came back and said, no, no, we don't know. We shouldn't have this referendum. So you've got to talk to me about this, because $9 million over 3 years, right? 3, and then $9 million in the fourth year on.
That's correct. And legally, it is $9 million even the first year to exceed the revenue cap. But the district has said that they will phase it in $3 million the first year, $6 million the second year, $9 million the third year, and then $9 million forever and ever and ever, which does make that $9 million kind of transition slowly into our tax base. And you're right, it's ultimately the way it's being presented. There will be a tax decrease after the first 3 years, but without the referendum passing, obviously there would be a larger tax decrease for everybody in our community, which I think is much needed in the economic times that we find ourselves in today.
Well, and that's the question. I mean, so here's what they're saying. The referendum is for maintaining class size, competitive employee wages and benefits, and Terry was all over this, equity and learning environments, maintain student service programming, consistency in classroom experience when regular teachers are out, and increase mental health services for students. Now, what they do is in the presentations, Phil Fry, he's the finance operations, or
it's the director of business development services, okay. I believe is his title, but I could be wrong. But he's our numbers guy. He's the business guy.
Yeah. So I love numbers. I love stats and stuff like that. Now he's saying that the busing cost is up 5%, utilities are up 5%, all costs are increasing. And when I read that initially, I wanted to go, duh. Yeah, everybody's are up. Right?
Yes, I think everybody realizes that costs are up.
Sure.
Period.
But and we're not the only ones that are asking for a referendum, or have a referendum on the ballot this time. I mean, you got Middleton at 24 million, Verona at 19 million, Oregon at 11 million, Sun Prairie at 9, Wanakee at 10, Mahoma at 4, Belleville even at $1 million, 999. Why didn't they just make it $1 million? Waterloo at 700,000. So it looks like schools in general need some help.
I don't disagree with that.
So what's going on? What's causing this?
All right, so give me a few minutes, because I got to, share some information, educate, And because school finance is
Well,
not
make it simple. Make it
I'll
simple.
try to make it as simple as possible. But really, the two reasons that I think, or that I'm going to vote no, and I hear a lot of people in the community that I talk to are going to vote no, is, one is just referendum fatigue.
What's that mean?
That means Sun Prairie in 2016 asked our stakeholders for $90 million to build 2 elementary schools. In 2019, we asked our community for $174 million to build Sun Prairie West High School, and 3 years later, 2022, we're asking for an additional $9 million over the revenue cap forever and ever and ever. And I think there's a time where people just want to take a breather and say, hey, when is enough enough? And especially, the other thing that coincides with that is, as I said, it's the economic times that we are in today. I mean, people are hurting. I mean, people on fixed incomes, yeah, Social Security is going up 8.3%, but I mean, people are feeling it in food, gas, housing, rents, mortgage rates. I mean, there is a lot of pressure financially on our citizens.
Sure.
Over 70% of taxpayers in our community do not have students in our classrooms.
Well, that happens, though. I mean, that's the way communities are established.
Yeah, I mean,
that's normal.
It is normal. It is absolutely normal. But and again, you got to bear with me, kind of setting up the history of all this. But,
Okay.
But in my opinion, I don't know if anybody at the school board table is really taking into account the pain, the 70% of people that don't have kids, that might not get direct improvement, with their kids with this $9 million. But I mean, you have to be sensitive to all stakeholders in the community. I support teachers, I support students, all the things that the district is saying they want to spend money on. I support all of that. But I don't know that this referendum in November is the right approach. So that'll lead me back into a little bit of history.
Okay.
So just to keep it simple, in the state budget, the state politicians determine the revenue cap for school districts. That's the total amount of money. That's a really important number. That gives the districts an amount of money that they can spend. All right?
Okay.
And then the state also gives direct aid, they call it equalization aid, to the districts.
Okay.
And whatever that aid doesn't cover, the school districts collect from local tax, property tax, to balance their budget. So districts they're held to that revenue cap, and then taxpayers pick up what the state doesn't aid directly.
Okay.
And it is very true. The other piece of information that people know is the state budget is a 2-year budget.
Yep.
So when it's set, it's for 2 years. The budget was set in 2021, so we're actually in the second year of a biennium budget. And at the time, in summer of 2021, when there was Congress, so we're a year into COVID.
Sure.
The federal government has dollars, and the state legislature is determining, okay, how do we want to fund schools? How much do we want to raise the revenue cap? And at the time, I was actually asked, as the treasurer of Sun Prairie Area School District, to go to a press conference at the Capitol. I spoke with Carlton Jenkins, the superintendent of Madison Schools, several business people for Madison, but I was advocating for an increase in the revenue cap for school districts in the state budget.
Okay. How'd that go?
It didn't go very well. They must not have listened to me then. But they did send a message. So the state politicians said, no, we're going to keep your revenue cap of all school districts in the state flat for 2 years. So 2021 and 22, and then this year, 22-23, schools' budgets start on July 1st. Okay? So that's tough to run in an organization when costs are rising and you can't spend any more money. I mean, that's tough. However, here's what people may not understand is the state politicians said, all right, we're going to keep your cap flat. However, the federal government has emergency dollars that they are funneling to the states and to school districts.
ESSER funds.
ESSER funds, yep. Elementary and secondary school emergency rescue something.
Yes,
funds.
ESSER
Yes,
funds.
ESSER funds. So Sun Prairie School District received around $9 million in ESSER funds total. There was actually 3 rounds of ESSER funds, 1, 2, and 3. So $9 million. We also received another $1.1 million through the state, where Governor Evers, in I think the end of 2021, had some more money that he released to school districts. So let's call it $10 million. So the state legislatures in 2021 said, we're not going to raise your revenue caps. We want you to use your federal dollars, your ESSER dollars, to balance your budgets for the next 2 years.
Okay.
Albeit, that really wasn't necessarily the intent of ESSER dollars. It was more to make up for student learning and issues caused directly by COVID, and to help districts, upgrade facilities to make them more safe. However, that's what the state asked school districts to do. So we did, as I was on the board up until April of 2022. So I was involved as a treasurer in aligning our budgets with how much money we had to spend. One other note is, I give our district credit. When COVID was happening, we did save some money. And we knew there were going to be issues financially down the road. So we actually set up what we called a budget stabilization fund,
Okay.
which was about $3 million. And that was savings in our budgets from 2020. We actually had some savings in 2021. So we actually set that money aside as a district to be used in the future, because we knew things would be tough financially, budget-wise.
Okay.
So we've got $10 million of rough numbers, ESSER dollars, federal money. We've got $3 million of our own, rainy day set-aside money to prepare for things that are going on today. My opinion, when I was on the school board, is we need to get through this biennium budget, which this is the last year, doing exactly what the state politicians asked us to do, use our federal money, use the money that we saved up, get through this period without a $9 million referendum that goes on forever and ever. And the other thing that the state politicians said was, we will revisit school funding in our next biennium budget, which discussions will start probably after January 1st, and that budget would go into play next July 1st. So, and they've said, we will revisit, we will, make things right. Governor Evers has proposed some very large increases in education spending in the next biennium budget. Obviously, Republicans hold control over that, and not likely to get the full increases that he's looking for. But it's too early for this. I always say we're at least, I've told Dr. Sarin this, we're at least 1 year premature in this ask for money. We don't know as a district what's going to happen next year. We know this year, but next year we have no idea. We could get $10 million extra to spend. We don't know. So we, as a financial conservative, I want to wait and see what the future, at least the next 2 years, looks like before I start asking people to open their pocketbooks and give me more money. I just don't think it's responsible. I think the timing is a little off, and I think people are hurting. And yeah, taxes could go down, but people have a lot of use for, if somebody put a little more money in their pocket. I think they could really use that and need that.
So let me ask you this about a referendum, because I don't know. So let's say the referendum passes, the $9 million, and everything happens what you're saying. Do you have to draw the $9 million? Could it stay in a pocket, a fund, a drawer, or whatever? Do you have to use that referendum?
No, you do not. The district, if the referendum passes, they will have the ability to collect $9 million more than the revenue cap.
Sure.
Forever. But the district has said they will only use $3 million the first year, $6 million the second year, 9 million the third year and forever and ever and ever. And that's what, but they could tax the 9 million. You can't save up from 1 year and go to the next year.
You can't.
No, you cannot. So it's
So if you don't use it, you lose it?
correct.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, because
That's interesting. I
you're
had no
just
idea.
allowed to tax more to the for local taxes. So but once that's done, it's done that year, and then the next year you can go to that 9 million or the 6 million. And
Deanna Weber says, we have a referendum? How come I didn't know that?
that's, yes, a lot of people do not know, and part of me coming on this show is just to let people know.
Sure.
You'll see a few signs out there that say vote no, and that again is
Right.
just to get people to realize that what's going to be on the ballot on November 8th.
So, the thing is that when it comes to school districts like this, and it becomes a political issue. So the teachers are screaming at the Republicans that they're not doing enough, and Esser says, well, I'm trying to do everything I can, yet I get shot down by the our legislators, and then we also get that guilt that's thrown in. I mean, just like in Phil Fry's presentation on the district site, he says, well, if we don't get this, about 91 people will lose their jobs, or it could be 91 people lose their jobs. 6 million in value on that. It could be 53 teachers. It could be 30 support staff, 5 administrative support staff, 3 administrators. That's 91. And then you go to the departments, and department budgets would lose about $500,000. So this is the scare tactic.
Yeah, I mean, and that is a scare tactic, Bill. I mean, I was still on the board when we had a balanced budget for this year, including giving teachers and staff a 4.7% increase.
Yeah.
We had a framework for a balanced budget, using our budget stabilization fund, using ESSER dollars, but we had the budget balanced. Again, I say wait till next year. Let's see what the future holds. We've got this year covered, and we can cover it without the referendum.
So
I promise you that. So, I mean, it is a scare tactic saying what's going to happen if it doesn't pass.
Where did the $7 million deficit come from?
Well, I mean, that mainly is because the state keeping our revenue caps flat. Yes.
Okay.
Costs are rising, salaries are rising, you can't spend anymore. Yes, you're going to have a gap there. But that's nothing new to anybody.
No.
It just didn't come out of the blue. We've known that since 2021 when the biennium budget was passed. And we've been planning for it. We've got it covered. We've made it through 2 years. We're ready to see what happens next year. So I think it's just a year premature to be asking for $9 million a year forever.
So why this year then? Why is it because every other school district is also going to referendum on it? Is there a timing issue on this? Is there something that will be missed if they don't ask for the referendum this year? Because my concern is that they talk about the tax savings, and I asked the question. I'm going to hang on to that one. My concern is that they're touting that it's going to have a negative effect on your tax bill in the school board, in the school section, folks, not the city. Trust me, the city's going to increase your taxes. They love to do that. If you have a $200,000 home, your taxes are going to drop $44 on this. But they're basing this on all the new construction that we have had in Sun Prairie. Now, but here's the thing I know, Dave, is I don't know if you've noticed, but interest rates have doubled since January, and they're going to go up another time. We've already been told that by Federal Reserve. Now, mortgage rates are calculated by bonds, not by the Federal Reserve, but it does have a little bit of an effect on there.
Sure.
Sometimes the interest rates can go up and bonds are healthy. People start buying bonds and interest rates on mortgage rates will drop. But I'm concerned about the overall inflation that's happening and what that's going to do to housing in our area. And will have such a drastic effect where this flips a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
So that was a lot.
Exactly.
I apologize. That was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Sun Prairie is growing. Our tax base is growing. We've got a lot of commercial, industrial growth, which is very good for school districts. Growth without kids. but we've got a lot of residential growth as well.
Sure.
And your question of why now, I think you mentioned a lot of the reasons. It's a lot of other districts are doing it, so let's, why
Jump
not
on board.
give it a try? Historically, our community, our taxpayers have supported referendums in Sun Prairie. We
Except
really
the
have.
swimming pool.
Yeah.
That was the one that didn't support a $10 million. Oh my God, that was so
And
stupid.
I think school districts have a story to tell. I mean, especially, if you don't get into the details like I explained and into the weeds of why we're at where we're at,
Sure.
I mean, there's a story to tell for school districts. Hey, if they're not giving us any more money to spend, we need to ask you for money.
Right.
But if you dig a little deeper, like I said again, I think it's a year premature.
So is this all about the new high school and the new stadium and all that? I mean, is that what's affecting this, and why they have to go to the referendum?
No,
They're
that-
saying no, but I want to hear it from you.
No, that has nothing to do with it. I mean, we borrowed for all of those costs, and we did have a $5 million operating referendum to support operations of Sun Prairie West, and we actually instituted that early, two or 3 years early, and we used that $5 million a year to help boost teacher salaries to at least Dane County average. So, but no, that's done and passed. That has nothing to do with the where we're at today and the ask for the $9 million.
Wow. Miss the school board?
I miss a lot of the people. I miss, really being involved and knowing what's going on. I do continue to follow it. But, the time and the energy that it took to really, what I thought to be a good board member, yeah, I enjoy having that time back.
How many hours a week do you think you were putting in for that? And you were treasurer also.
Oh, yeah, it was a minimum 10 hours a week, I bet.
10 hours a week on top of your bill-paying job.
Right, exactly. Sometimes it
my
was
gosh.
more. I mean, a lot of it is not just sitting in meetings, but
Right.
a lot. To be a good board member, you have to educate yourself. You have to read. You have to, meet with people, ask questions, and really know what's going on. You're just not showing up at a meeting and taking a vote on things.
Yeah, it's people don't realize it, and I thank you for doing that, by the way. And I appreciate anybody that's in a political situation, whether you're city council or school board. I mean, it is daunting. I mean, David Virgil, I kept saying, wait till you see how much you have to read for a city council, and I know he's doing a good job, but that's a lot of information at times. A lot of information.
Yes,
but
it's like a second part-time job.
Right.
Not a second, but a part-time job, for sure.
so
An important one.
what am I missing? What am I missing in this thing? Well, let's do this. Maintain class size. I like how they says even though the district has grown a lot over the last 10 years, we've been able to maintain small class sizes. This means students have more opportunities for small group work and one-on-one support from their teachers. If the referendum is passed, the funds would be used in part to maintain these class sizes so that we can best meet each student's individual needs. How would they do that? How's this money going to make that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Is that personnel?
we're currently doing that.
Yeah, right,
And
exactly.
so we're going to maintain it, and yeah, $9 million could really help the district. I get
Sure.
that. I mean, I go back to
It would help me.
Yeah, I just go back to our budget is balanced with all of this stuff that you just mentioned. I mean, we can do this without a $9 million referendum.
Mm.
We don't need the $9 million referendum to do all these good, important things. Student services, mental health, class sizes, benefits, teacher salaries. We can do all of that this year without $9 million more. It's in the future 2 years, that's when, we may have to supplement with a referendum.
Sure.
And, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like I couldn't believe that the city had a tax increase during COVID. I don't care if it was 3% or 1%. I mean, they could have figured out a way to do that. The school board, you guys actually, there was a negative number back then in the last budget.
Actually, what happened because of the state keeping the revenue cap flat. They actually increased their equalization aid. It was a requirement from the federal government to get ESSER dollars, so they boosted pretty significantly their direct state equalization aid. It doesn't allow school districts to spend any more money, but what it does is it lowers property taxes. So yes, our property taxes went down the last couple of years because of that, which I think is a good thing.
So, they talk about the Wisconsin per pupil spending has gone below the national average since 2015. And in 2020, the number was 754 per pupil below the national average. How important is it for that to be compared to that national average? Or is it something that we should just focus on in Wisconsin? Because averages, when you say average, I mean, you can play with numbers. I can make averages out to be whatever you want. Right. Seriously, depending on what you include and how many you include.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a metric that can be looked at, but I don't think it's the most important metric.
Okay.
I like to look at results. I mean, let's look at our results compared to the country's average. It's not always about just spending more money. You're in business, Bill, and have been in corporate America. It's not always about spending more money to get better results. Sometimes you have to relook at the way you are doing things, and I think education today really needs to be turned on its head and done differently. It's like we've been doing the same factory education for 100 years, sitting kids in a row in a classroom, having a teacher lecture to them. I am a firm believer, especially at the secondary level, high school, of just really turning education completely. I don't have all the answers, but we need to do it differently. We need to make it more relevant, engaging, more real-world skills, and we just have to get away from doing it the way we've always done it. But that's really a bigger issue. There's some schools out there that are trying to do that, but it's
more charter schools. If anything.
I think we should have some charter schools. I think the Sun Prairie School District ought to have charter schools and give parents and students different options, from classical schools that are just nuts and bolts learning to arts and I mean there's so many different options that you can learn. When I was on the board, I visited several charter schools. Kettle Moraine has a high school that they have 3 or 4 separate charter schools within their high school around business, healthcare, the arts. And it gives kids an opportunity to learn more in what really gets them going, what they're interested in. And I think there's so much room to do different things with education and make it so much more relevant to today's world.
What's interesting is that I feel like you were listening to my conversation yesterday, sitting in my living room. Because we were talking about that. I said to Terry, who's a special ed teacher in DeForest, you know that, but I wanted to tell everybody else that. I said, to me, it appears that we need to just kind of blow up education and rebuild it, because the way it is going right now, it's working, but I think it can work so much better in a different way. She goes, well, what would you do? And I said, I don't know that answer. I said, I just know that I know that college is a business, and people forget that. It's higher learning, they call it. That's to make you feel good at 100,000 or whatever, 150,000 when you come out. I think my sister-in-law came out of law school in debt just under 200,000.
Yikes.
Well, yeah, yikes. Something has to be done, and I don't know how we do it, but I agree with you that something has to change. If you get, I can remember back with Alex and Kathy Instead. I love Kathy Instead, first teacher. He was at Sacred Hearts, and we had him over there. His mom, Annette McCula, decided that Alex should experience public school for a semester before he gets to high school. So we switched him over to high school. Alex didn't want to do that, or switched him over to Horizons. That was Horizons. That first year it opened, remember? And first day of class, Kathy Instead is his homeroom class teacher. Alex is in the room, and a kid in the front row is having a bad day and letting Kathy Instead know about it, and takes the table he's sitting at and just flips it upside down and tells her to go F herself. And she sends him to the office, But that was an experience in school. But are we taking kids and really molding those minds in the direction that they want to go in? Now, I'm sure the professionals are out there will say they don't know what they want yet. And I would agree a little bit, probably, but at least give them in a guide where they get up in the morning and they want to go do it. Right?
Bingo. Yep. I mean, I've seen, as a district, we were always good, still are, I'm sure, at surveying, asking students, staff, parents, questionnaires, surveys. And you look at the student engagement surveys, or even just walking through the high school and talking to kids, hey, do you enjoy school? Or
Sure.
Do you feel engaged? And it's like, no, not really. And the survey scores aren't real good either. So, I mean, kids are just, going through the motions. Obviously there's kids that are, really working hard and getting a lot out of it.
Right.
I don't believe personally that all of our high school kids are really engaged and getting as much as they could out of the high school experience. And I think, again, I'm with you. I don't know all the answers, but I think there needs to be some change there. Just an example, I have a good friend of mine whose son went through the youth apprenticeship program.
Okay.
And so for his final 2 years, he'd go to school half-time, he'd work for Stevens Construction the other half-time, and coming right out of high school, he was offered a job with Stevens Construction paying $25 an hour as a general laborer, and he's working his way up, looking for other things.
That's $50,000 a year.
Yeah, and he enjoyed it. He really enjoyed it.
Sure.
Actually, I know, it's his sister who went through another program, and these are examples of doing school a little bit differently. Is we had a STEM program through Madison College.
What's a STEM program?
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay.
So there's a program at Madison College which was offered to other school districts, but Sun Prairie had, let's say, 20 or 30 students in that program, where literally instead of coming to Sun Prairie East High School, she went to Madison College 5 days a week and took classes all around science, technology, engineering, and math.
Got credit for it?
Got credit, and actually she just graduated. I believe she's got a high school diploma, and she also has, or is really close to having, an associate's degree in auto tech.
Oh,
so it's and that was her interest.
Yeah.
It's aligning education to students' interests, and there's all kinds of other areas out there, but those are just a couple of examples that I would love to see, a lot more of that at the high school level. Embedding kids in businesses that they're interested in.
Right.
Healthcare is huge around here, so give kids an opportunity to really start building up a good experience and knowledge in healthcare, nursing, physician,
anything. Yesterday. So Sundays are kind of like my prep day, and then Sunday afternoon I lay out the program and all that. I had an activity with the district meeting for the Lions Club, our district, District 27, and Pat Ross was there. It was out at our clubhouse. I was on the Governor's Council last year. This year, because I'm doing membership for our club, I don't have the time to do council and membership. But we're out there, and I'm with Pat Ross. And Pat is, everybody in Sun Prairie knows Pat Ross. Pat Ross is Sun Prairie. And there are people that love Pat, most of them, and there's some that find him difficult. I really think the world of him. And let me tell you why. Because the man is determined. We got a little friend checking us out here in the squirrel coming up to our window. Well, that squirrel knew we were nuts, so.
Absolutely.
So Pat Ross, like I said, he's Mr. Sun Prairie. The thing is that Pat is and has been chosen as the electrician up for Sun Prairie. You know, when you have all the contests and all that, Sun Prairie's favorite, the best of Sun Prairie, Pat Ross. Now, why is Pat Ross an electrician? Because his dad was an electrician, and he followed it through. You know, being a Kentucky kid. I mean, I'm probably lucky my dad wasn't, or my father wasn't in my life, and I lived with my grandparents. My mom and I lived with my grandparents for several years. They were farmers, and I'm glad I'm not a farmer, but there are kids out there that love to farm. My cousin was a farmer. Why? He loved it. And he would love getting up every morning to go milk and plowing those fields and all that stuff. And it's so funny. He and I would talk about this. Today he does more. He doesn't milk anymore. He says, "I'm too old to go milk." Really? I said, "You have robots for that now. You know, don't need that." He will when he's if he's harvesting something like corn or whatever, soybeans or whatever, and he's on the tractor, he's talking about how straight his lines are. I said, "Well, damn, Robert, I do that in my yard when I mow it." I said, "I get it. Man, I get it. Those straight lines, buddy."
They have GPSs on those tractors now, Bill.
I know they do. Yes, it's snowing, by the way, just to let you know.
Beautiful.
Oh, welcome to Wisconsin. One day closer to spring, people. One day closer to spring. So I like your thinking on this. I agree with it. I have a feeling Brad Sarin feels that same way. I have a feeling that Steve Schrader feels the same way. That education has to be put on its head, and we have to change it. But it's not going to. Is it going to take a referendum to do that?
No, I don't think so.
This is just the way it's being described as survival.
Exactly. And change is hard, Bill. I mean, ever since I've been on the board, I've been at least, having these discussions, and I mean, the district has done some things.
Sure.
We've got some pathway
Oh,
courses in high school where you can kind of specialize, but it's little bitty tweaks around the edges, not flipping things on their head and
sure,
taking that leap
sure,
without knowing how it's going to end.
Oh my God, a buddy of mine, Steve Ball, once in a while he and Terry watch the show from Michigan. Steve went to the University of Toledo, and but what Steve is known for is his woodworking. And when we were in school together, the guy was amazing. And here's the story. He built his house, and he put a double oak doors on the front of his house. He lived on Temperance Road, which is, I don't know, about 10 miles from the Ohio border. You're still in Michigan. And beautiful house, about 3,500 square feet. Stained glass inlay to the doors. Guy comes up, knocks on his door. And he says, "Yeah, what can I do?" He says, "Just curious where you got your doors. I drive by here. I'm a builder. And I was just curious where you got your doors. I'd like to buy them or find out, He goes, "Well, I made them." He says, "I did all the woodwork in my house." And now, prior to that, what Steve was doing for fun is he's doing all those, like, geese things for kitchens and decorative things that you'd see at malls, and you go and they get a kiosk or whatever and selling that stuff, those tchotchke things, I call them, or dust collectors. And he was doing a pretty nice job. So the guy says to him, he goes, "You made them yourself?" "Yeah, I made these doors myself." He says, "Can you do it again?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Well, what would you charge me?" He says, $2,500 a door." He says, "Good, I'll take 20." He says, "Well," he's like, "It's going to take me a while to get them done." He says, "Well, how about 8 weeks? Can you get them done in 8 weeks?" And Steve just laughs. He goes, "Yeah, absolutely." So his woodworking business started. So every day he got up doing what he loved.
Yep.
And the business just exploded. Then he basically retired from that. Got a place up north in Michigan. I don't know why he'd ever go north to Michigan. He should come to Wisconsin, but had to put that dig in there. But then afterwards, he went back to and taught school at Bedford, which is like Wanakee for us.
Really? Woodworking class, I bet.
Math, because he's a brainiac.
Ooh.
He and Alex, my son Alex was the same way. Alex could take a stack of numbers or an equation and look at it and give you the answer on it. And then what really ticked Alex off was, what did the teacher say? "Show me how you did it." Really? I gave you the number. No, obviously, I know how to do it. And my son was a little, what's the word I want to say? Direct in some of his responses.
The apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Hey, dude. No, his mom is not like that. But we do have to do something with schools. If we need to support the schools, I'll tell you this as a realtor, that one of the reasons people come to the city is because of our schools. They do. Our parks, our bike trails, all that stuff, and our community. They love our people here and how we interact with each other. And I'm going to say this way, and our city government, because they're approachable. They're approachable. Where if you go to Madison, forget about it. The mayor is not going to come visit with you. Esser, love him or hate him, he will be out there shaking hands, kissing babies. I mean, it's what he does. But
Yep, no, Sun Prairie's a great community. Been here for 5 years, 23 years. Long time. Wife grew up here.
I want to say this. Lois Schultz. Now, she was an educator for almost, it wasn't 30 years, was it? Lois, I don't think so. It's pretty close to it. Maybe it's been 30 years. She said, school reform is multifaceted, and the burden lies in all of us.
I couldn't agree more.
Wow, that is very deep and profound. We could spend the next week on that one. Oh my gosh. 33 years she spent teaching. You are a glutton for punishment. So how do we talk more about this? I mean, where do you want to go with this?
Well, I guess,
is it just by educating people?
Just, I hope some people learned a little bit about the history of how we got where we're at. I mean, that's one, is just, educating and number one, just getting people to realize that, hey, if there's a referendum on the ballot, maybe do a little bit of, your research.
Sure.
Check out what's on the school district website, but also, rewatch this, or look at other points of view.
Sure.
Again, just, I just think it's premature. I think people are hurting in today's economy, and
I wish I could go get $9 million once in a while. Things. People talk about the real estate market and how profitable it's been. I mean, I had somebody the other day tell me, "Oh, you must be using a wheelbarrow for all the money you have from all this market." I said, "You have no idea what you're saying." And they're like, "Oh no, it's got to be great because you're out there and you're just selling everything." Bam, bam, bam. I said, "Let me tell you this. I've written more offers this year to date, than I did all this year, last year, and maybe half a year before that. And of that, most of them were rejected offers." That's the marketplace right now.
I can believe it.
And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now, because the inventory is lower, not as many houses, interest rates going up, less buyers. It's going to become a tough market, and real estate agents are going to disappear. They're going to go back home to a bill-paying job.
Yep, I think the next year to two is going to be tough for you guys, Bill.
And we won't see a recovery for about 10 years, 5 to 10 years. If you look at the statistics and if you look at the inventory levels and what would have to happen. So don't worry about prices going down. Your values going down. They're not. I'm estimating about a 10%, between 8 to 10% increase in 2022 pricing over 2021.
That would about match our inflation numbers, unfortunately. Maybe that's fortunate.
Well, I know, right?
It's
but
crazy times out there.
The thing with homes, though, is that don't freak on it and don't use your home as an ATM. Don't pay off a car. Don't go buy a TV set. Don't go on a vacation with your home equity line. Fix your house up. Get it ready. Get ready to get ready. The interest rates, what's happening here, just you got me on real estate now, so I got to talk about it just for a second since I got you here. Because interest rates have doubled, all right, so last September, bought a house. Our rate was like 2.9 something. 2.9, dude.
Good
So
timing.
let's say 3%. Well, now it's 6. And there's that psychological thing that happens with people that have bought a home at sub 3, and they're now saying, well, I gotta buy a new house. Oh, well, maybe I don't have to buy a new house. I'm not paying 6%. I paid 3 last time. I'm serious. This is, but they forget.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, but they forget that at one time they paid 14%, because that was my first mortgage.
Yeah, back in the early 80s, late 70s. Let's not go there again, please.
Right. So what happens is, because of that, the time of houses coming onto the market is delayed, maybe by a year, maybe by 2, by 3 or so. We'll see. We'll see. So that's what concerns me about the referendum. Right now, builders have an inventory built up, and they're going to be completing those probably within the next 10 months, 11 months. People are still building homes. They're still running contracts on it. We're going to see. Prices of supplies are coming down. That's a good thing. We're actually getting it. So that concern with the number of new homes and all that, and then the added cost of the referendum and that offset. Well,
sure.
The day it goes to a positive number, heads will roll. This town will come unhinged.
Right.
I mean,
so I have a question for you, guys.
Yeah.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to pose it to a real estate guy. So over the last 4 years, have housing units, whether they're single-family home, multifamily homes, duplexes, have housing units increased in the area covered by the Sun Prairie Area School District?
Yes.
Okay. When I first started on the school board...
Do you want to know where?
Sure.
Bristol. You've got parts of Sun Prairie. You're actually going to even higher tax brackets, higher income houses. You've also out on Town Hall Road. You've got still have your Viridian homes. So that it's all spread out, and it's diverse.
Yep. And there's
also
subdivisions in Madison, which
Yeah.
are part of the Sun Prairie School District,
correct.
south of town. Yep.
Yeah, and town of Sun Prairie, Burke, a little bit of Madison.
So bottom line, there is housing growth within our area.
Yep.
And one of the things that makes me scratch my head a little bit,
Okay.
so when I started on the board in 2015, we were experiencing district growth, student growth of 200 to 300 students a year.
So how did it go flat?
That's kind of the conversation I wanted to have. I mean, it's over the last, and again, 2015, 16, 17, 18, it started to go down a little bit from 300 to 150 to 100, but we were growing. Obviously, that's why we chose to build a second comprehensive high school.
Sure.
Looking at those growth numbers and projections over the next 15 years,
Right.
Whenever the district looked at enrollment projections, they look at next year, 5 years, and then 10 years down the road. And those projections were all 800, 1,000 kids 10 years down the road.
Sure.
Today, and slowly through the last few years, those 10-year projections are going negative now. In November, you'll see they usually in November they do their projection
Right.
for enrollment, but the last few years, 10 years out from today, we're anticipating less students in our district. And to me, it makes me scratch my head. Over the last 4 years, we just got numbers in for this year. This school year, we're down 15 students. Small number, but it's negative. And that will make the 4th straight year of negative growth. So we were going up,
Sure.
we flattened, and we're slowly heading down, while at the same time, housing units are growing. So what happened? So
No, less kids. They're not having kids.
that's part of it. That's part of it. I believe that what happened in COVID is part of it as well.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when COVID happened and we sent our kids home to learn virtually,
Sure.
one, our students, I believe, and I was a proponent of getting kids back into the class
Sure.
as quick as possible.
Synergy, need synergy.
Yeah, one, students got a little disengaged.
Right.
Two, parents kind of saw how students were learning. And three, other options really bubbled up, whether it be homeschooling, virtual schooling elsewhere, private schools that were in person, before public schools. And I think parents saw options and, chose other options besides the Sun Prairie Area School District. I think that was part of it. The other piece that I see, and it's kind of talked about nationally, is just what our kids are learning in school. Are they learning basic reading, writing, arithmetic, or are we infusing other things in there that may not appeal to all families? Again, we as a district, we educate all kids from all backgrounds, from all kids,
All diverse.
and quite honestly, I'm a conservative, Bill. The education industry is a liberal organization. I mean, it truly is.
Is that a bad thing?
It is what it is.
Okay.
It is what it is. I lived in it for 9 years. But any organization that may be a little politically biased can overstretch their means and can offend some people. And quite honestly, I think that is happening in public education. I've seen it personally, just a kind of a left-leaning bias in a lot of things in education, whether it's communication coming from administrators, whether it's things that are taught in school, whether it's programs. I've seen it all through my 7 years on the school board, and I don't think that is helping with growth, student enrollment growth in the district. I think some families say, yeah, I don't want that for my kids. I'm going to send my kid to private school. I'm going to homeschool. I'm going to sign up for all kinds of virtual schools that are out there. And I quite honestly think that is happening in our district. I've spoken with administrators about that. I don't know if they really disagree with me, but I think the experience that we offer as a school district really has to be, it can't be biased, but it's so easy for that to happen.
Sure.
But it's got to be factual. It's got to fit to our kids' needs. One of the examples I have is, and there probably are some districts like this, but if you take a 7-member board and you make them all conservative people, you take an administration and you make 90% of them conservative, you take an education staff, make 90% of them conservative, do you think liberal-leaning people might have an issue with maybe some perceived bias?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural. It's natural. You have to work hard not to get some bias in there. And I think more bias, as we go through the years, I think more and more bias is inching into our education system, and I don't think that's good. And I think that's one of the reasons we're losing some students.
Well, it doesn't. To me, as the outsider, now my kids are 28, 38 years old, so that's I've been away from that. But to me, it seems like schools are trying to be everything to the kids, for the kids. I mean, feeding them in the morning, we're taking care of them, the mental health side of it. And please don't attack me on this. I'm just trying to point some stuff out. It just seems like, are we going farther than we should be as a school district? And I'm the outsider. I'm looking in at this. And now the answer right away, and you can hear from this area, would be, no, we're not doing enough for our kids. Okay, all right, what else should we be doing for them? And why? Because they're not getting the support at home, is what's happening. It comes down to that, I think. They're not being held accountable or responsible.
Sure, there's some of that. I think we're supporting kids pretty well, and I think that's a good thing.
I think we're
but when it gets to
kids.
a point where you're unconsciously teaching kids how to think about certain things,
Oh, yeah.
I think that's where
That's
it
wrong.
crosses the line,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think some of that is happening, and I think it's rubbing some families the wrong way. But
Yeah, I
feeding
agree.
kids, supporting them with mental health,
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. I think it's needed.
Well, where else are they going to get mental health help? Where? No, there isn't a place, because they're not going to be taken to anywhere. They're not going to the doctor. They're not seeing a psychologist or whatever, or a social worker for that, or a therapist for mental health. I get it.
But yeah, it's school districts have a tough job these days. They really do. They're asked to do a lot. They are not always funded as much as they need to be funded, and there's a lot of other things going on in the world that makes their job tough. So I appreciate all the teachers and administrators.
Oh, me too.
But
oh my gosh, somebody like Lois Schultz, 33 years. Now she's up in Merrill, but she's got the same issues up there.
Oh sure.
Same issues. It's but Terry's like 4 years away from retirement. And why is she so hung up on that? Her pension. And I said, go to your financial guy, and let's figure out what the difference would be if you quit today. Now, this lady has taken some special ed's a different kind of environment, folks. And if to share some of the stories with you would just make you just shake your head and go, what? Walking down the hall and a student throws an F-bomb at her and a C word, and when they come into an IEP and they talk about it, well, Johnny's just a little excitable. Really? That's how you're going to handle this. It's I give teachers a lot of credit, but I said to her, if it's $50 less per month, get out of there. Get out of there. And she's like, well, what would I do? I'm like, you have a master's degree, for goodness sakes. You've been teaching, coaching, helping people, helping kids for how long? You got a job anywhere you want to go as a trainer. For goodness sakes, go to Costco and be a greeter at the front area. You know how to relate to everybody.
There are a lot of jobs out there today, Bill. Everywhere you go.
There are.
Yep.
I love to teach. I love to teach real estate. I love the coaching side. I call it more coaching than teaching.
Mm-hmm.
The educational side of it. I have agents that I work with from here and then also in Michigan, and they're always wanting to know about my stats, how I got my stats, and why I do that. And when I show them, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And then showing them how to interact with that. So I get why people teach. I do. And I respect every single teacher out there, and I appreciate
God bless them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
We got awesome teachers in the school district.
We do. You have to go to your job yet today? Or did you retire?
Today, I think I'm just pretending to work.
Snow day?
Well, not a snow day.
It's a
Just,
snow day.
Mondays you kind of ease into. And my job I can do anytime.
Well, tell people what you do. Tell people what you do.
I am a mechanical engineer. I work for an architectural engineering firm, and actually most of our work is in school districts where we assess their buildings, their HVAC systems, lighting, help them plan to maintain their facilities and improve their facilities. That's my day job.
You were a great guy to have on the school board when you're building a school, huh?
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
Hey, I thought one of the coolest ideas, I don't know who had it, was pre-purchasing everything and having it ready.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
Yep,
that was so
during
smart.
the pandemic.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was so smart.
Our district did a great job, building the two new elementary schools, Token Springs and
Sure.
Meadowview, and then Sun Prairie West. Kudos, on budget, on time, and beautiful, beautiful facility.
Wasn't it under budget?
It
The
may
high
have
school was under budget, I think.
May have been.
There was a little bit of a savings there, but
I think we spent it on turf, some additional fields here and there, or
that's
going
it.
to. But,
yes, the
yeah.
blue turf on the softball field where the Ducks all land.
That was all part of the plan. But, our district, we can build facilities. We are excellent at building facilities.
Yeah, and we needed them.
Yeah.
Some of the conversation back, when Jim McCourt was on the school board many, many moons ago, when we built the first high school, pushing that referendum through was a nightmare, to the point where they had to separate the swimming pool
Right.
to have a swimming pool referendum. And why we didn't buy the land next to that school, I don't know.
We actually own it now.
Well,
60 acres south of there.
Well, yeah, now, and look at how much we paid for that too. Back then, they would have given it to us. But so the conversation that people have in town is, well, if we had done it right the first time, we'd have had one school with all those kids in there. I'm like, ooh, that's a mega school. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think we'll adjust to having two schools.
I think we're doing a good job already.
Yeah. I mean, there's still some adjustment. There's going to take some time, and I think about it through athletics and things like that. But it's going to be fine, folks. We're going to do well. I just have to remember when I'm broadcasting the game against Wolves and Cardinals that I need to say Wolves or Cardinals instead of Sun Prairie. I had people text me going, "Which Sun Prairie?"
Yeah, that's a big change for you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Anything I've forgotten?
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
appreciate you letting me come on and just share information.
Well, it's a big thing.
If anybody has questions for me, I'm going to throw out my phone number.
Wow, wow. All right, go for it, dude.
608-977-2162 or email djhoekstra64@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions, or if anybody wants to just talk and discuss the referendum, I'd be happy to. But I'm just
Sure.
trying to get information out there, and
Yeah.
I'm pro school, pro district. Just the time isn't right, in my opinion.
And if you like, you can go to my Facebook page, and he's a friend of mine on there, and you can find Dave's messenger, and you can message him also if you want to give him a little chat. Dave Hoekstra, you're awesome, buddy.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it.
Man, you love the city. I know you love it.
You said Ross was Mr. Sun Prairie. I believe you are Mr. Sun Prairie, Bill.
Ah!
You're everywhere, and I appreciate what you do for our community and
You're welcome.
educating people and serving people like
Aw.
you do on Monday night. So,
Well, thank you, sir. That's going to happen tonight, too.
all right, awesome.
I know.
Thanks
Dave
again,
Hoekstra,
Bill.
thanks for
Appreciate
coming in. Thanks for being here. Hey, let's do this. Let's go back to a little bit of music, and then we're going to reset the show, come back, and tell you what's going on a little bit in Sun Prairie. How about this? How about Caught Up in You with a little bit of 38 Special right here on 103.5 WLSP, The Sun, home of Station of the Year. Good morning.
it. Nice.
Thanks. Woo! Nicely done. Nicely done.
Maybe your 10 viewers got something out of that.
Oh, I get a few
you're on
hundred
the radio,
during the day.
so-
Yeah. But they'll come in and watch the show during the day because
Okay.
it's a podcast also.
Gotcha.
And
So is that on K-Sun or is it just on your Facebook?
Facebook.
page?
So this is on my Facebook, YouTube, 2 Facebook accounts, 3 Facebook accounts. It's on the Media Center's Facebook. It's on my personal. I put it on the real estate. And then I go to YouTube also.
So I can share a link
Yeah.
to your Facebook Live
Yes.
recording.
Yes, you can. Yep. You can share it. It's this has been a very quiet subject, except for the school district. Brent Iceburner, he's also a no for it.
Yeah, I've seen
And-
some things that he's researched and written.
Right, I know. But it's an interesting topic. I don't know if it'll pass or not, to be honest.
I think it'll be really, really close.
Yeah.
But if I had to bet one way or the other, I'd bet that it passes.
Yeah, I think so too. But if you throw the economic environment in there at the time of the election, it may not pass.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened either. A person that is, without even knowing there's a referendum,
Sure.
comes up to the polling booth, sees the question,
Yep.
will you vote yes to give the school district $9 million more money forever and ever and ever? I think a lot of them that may be, financially hurting
We'll say no.
are just going to say, no, we just built a new high school. No,
Right.
no.
Right. Right.
But who knows?
Well-
Historically, the community has supported referendums pretty well.
Except for the swimming pool. It
Well-
took 2.
So it failed with the swimming pool the first time? I can't remember.
I think I failed with, no.
I know it was a $3 million tack on
Right.
after the fact.
I want to say it was the second time it approved. No, I'm wrong. It went through the first time.
I can't remember.
It had to go through the
I
same
know
time.
they separated it because
Right.
they thought having a pool in the original referendum might tank the entire referendum. So I think the high school passed, and they went back and
And
said,
what
okay,
was
all
that
right.
amount?
What's that?
Do you remember what the amount was back then?
Oh, I think it was $80 million.
Right.
That was for the new high school, but also like $25 million of improvements at
Sure.
the old Cardinal Heights.
Right. Oh my gosh.
It'll be interesting. I mean, actually, the whole election on November 8th will be interesting.
It really is going to be interesting.
I will be probably having a beer and watching the results come in, and probably
Yeah, me
be up
too.
late that night.
We were talking yesterday about this, and I'm tired of the ads. I'm sick of them.
Oh yeah, I tune them out, ignore
Right.
them. They don't bother me. It's just like, oh, this one again. It's like,
And I know in my house that Michaels will not be getting a vote from Terry. And she says he'll destroy education. I said, well, what has Tony Evers done for education? It's not Tony Evers. It's the legislature. They're destroying our education. I'm like, okay. All right. Okay. And at that point, I just shut my mouth.
you got a split household there, it sounds like.
Yeah, we do. Our votes will cancel each other out.
Yeah, so be it. I mean, everybody's got. I don't take
I know.
anybody's stance on anything personal.
I know.
Everybody's got one vote, and
Right.
vote what you think is best. But
I will be voting for Melissa Ratcliffe, though. I believe she has our best interest at heart for this city. And people like to pick on me all the time about being a conservative, and I said, well, you really should watch how I vote. I said, I'll share with you. I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that she'll do a better job than the other guy. He doesn't communicate well. Do you know who it is?
I know Andrew.
Andrew?
Kind of friends with him. He's worked in our school district for years.
Yeah.
I think he's a good guy. Like his background. But I think he's got an uphill battle, quite honestly.
He's, well, there you have it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me, buddy.
You're welcome. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah. How long's your show going? Did you say?
2 hours.
What do you talk about the rest of the show?
Whatever I want. Whatever I want. We're going to talk about, I don't know what to talk about. Well, somebody wants to talk.
All right.
Hey, bud. Don't think I'll see you Thursday, because if we're heading back north, Tuesday or Wednesday. They take the boat and the piers out this weekend.
Hey, you better hurry.
Yeah.
We'll be frozen soon. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for visiting Station of the Year. No. We're good. Ugh. All right, Facebook, who's out there? What you doing? What you talking about? Valerie, good morning. Judy Veith, you're still on here. All right, good. Was that an interesting subject, lady teachers? I'm hoping so.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sun Prairie, and welcome to Baker Street.
The question isn't what are we going to do, the question is what aren't we going to do.
This calls for the old Billy Baroo.
Time to rise and shine. Now here's your host, Bill Baker.
Hey, thanks, Lisa, for that warm introduction. My former producer of this show. Actually, she's the creator of Good Morning Sun Prairie, and when she left to take over as executive director for Columbus Media Center, I was allowed to step in and support her. So, kind of cool, I think. Anyway. Hey, Sun Prairie, get this. Dave Martin concert. Musician and storyteller Dave Martin explores the culture and storied history of the region, performing both traditional and original songs during this all-ages performance sponsored by Friends of the Sun Prairie Public Library from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 18th at the Sun Prairie Public Library, located at 1350 Linroot Drive, right here in the library, right where the media center is located. Latina Women's Wellness Night at the Sun Prairie Public Library. Host Arxela Esperanza represents our stories of survival and Move Your Body with Robbie Dominguez as part of the Wellness Night beginning at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, October 19th at the Sun Prairie Public Library. That includes the opportunity to join Roots for Change for a meditation program. See the Sun Prairie Public Library Facebook page for details. Hey, a drive-in movie, Hotel Transylvania. Way cool. Get hyped for Halloween with the family animated classical Hotel Transylvania by watching the movie from your vehicle or bringing a lawn chair or blanket to watch on the lawn during this free event presented by the Sun Prairie Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department starting at 6:15 p.m. on Friday, October 21st at Angel Park. See the Sun Prairie Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Facebook page for more details. Hey, and also, don't forget to check the Star newspaper or go to sunprairiestar.com, the events section of the Star Facebook page, and the Clock Tower Express newsletter for more information about Sun Prairie and upcoming events. And, yeah, that's kind of cool. You know, we got a few things going on. There was a great weekend this past Saturday. Man, I don't know, my schedule has just been like filling up like I can't believe out there. But downtown Sun Prairie, basically fall festival, and it was pretty cool. Scarecrow contest, which was Mike McCutcheon, my buddy and former Lion, something that he was so proud of, and we lost him a couple years ago, and so, but we, yeah, it's still a special thing. Love that kind of stuff. You know, hey, after I sign off here, I'm gonna run over to the new Culvers. They're having their ribbon cutting event, setting up the opening of the new Culvers over by the high school, right off 19 and Main. Can't remember the exact address on that, but Alex Mahoney will be there. All the dignitaries. I was invited to be there, so I'm looking forward to it. No, I have not had a curd burger. Just does not interest me at all. But I was there on Saturday for the VIP event, and I'm going to tell you that there were a lot of smiling faces and wonderful service and just a beautiful environment. Wait till you see the size of this place and the beauty of the design and everything. It really fits Sun Prairie very well. They have 2 drive-thrus. 2 drive-thrus. Did you hear me? 2 drive-thrus. Yeah, you can you pull up on one. That'll be a cash, credit, debit, and if you pull to the far side, that'll be just cash and debit. And people will run your meal out to you in that lane, but they'll bring it through the window in the other lane. It's going to be pretty cool. There'll be people out there with iPads taking orders. The food was delicious, and I'm very happy for Alex Mahoney. Congratulations on your second Culver's restaurant. This young lady just turned 30 years old. So is the American dream working? I think so. She's been working at Culver's since she was 15 years old. So I think she knows the business, and she's working it. Now, one of her struggles right now is people. She hiring of folks. I think she needs about 10 more people. She's looking for more mature individuals also as management and managers. So could be a fun job. I think it would be a fun job. I would enjoy it. But check it out. Get over there and talk to her about it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe, with a flexible schedule that they have and everything. Plus you get Culver's food. Nothing beats a butter burger, baby. Hey, Sunshine Supper tonight, don't forget about that. Starts at 5 o'clock, right off Main Street. Pull in behind. We'll ask you the number of meals. We'll put a sticky on your windshield, and then we'll bring those meals right out to you. This is a community-based meal that we all do together, and anybody is welcome to have a meal at Sunshine Supper. Going to be doing an inside Sunshine Supper. Yep, we're going to test it the first week, I believe, first or second week of November. We're going to see how that works. Going to be working on a reservation system because we have to ease our way back in. We've been giving out over 400 meals. 400 meals on a Monday night. A little bit of concern. Don't want anybody to fall through the cracks, miss a meal. And so the committee led by Julie Wiedemeyer is really looking at this to see what we can do in the way of supporting folks that want to come back inside, and yet those moms that have 4 kids out in their car that aren't going to come inside, how we handle those needs at the same time. Difficult challenge of doing both at the same time because there's not enough space to allow us to safely give out meals like that. But we'll see. We'll figure it out. I think it's going to be exciting. This Wednesday, the real estate show will be a repeat from the previous week. The media center here is going to be switching over the software for the radio station, and so a lot of training is going to go on. And so instead of being on the air and keep messing up and doing things the wrong way, all of us are going through training. And Jeff Robbins, Colin Lessing, and Mara Trusty, Rachel Packard, they're all going to be focused on this new software. And if you've ever gone through a software change, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's going to be a struggle. It really is. Just like anything. Just like when you get your new phone, right? You get your new phone and you just don't know what to do with it. But you don't know how to use it. That's why I keep thinking about going to I have a Droid phone. I've been thinking about going to an Apple phone, but I'm afraid that I'll have this anxiety of not being able to learn all the Apple stuff that's out there, Hey, let's talk about this real quick. This will be kind of cool. Let me find the date on it because people don't do it. I'm in Facebook and I'm looking for dates and times here. It doesn't have it. You guys got it. Hey, by the way, if you have an event, an activity that's coming up and you'd like to get a broader announcement of what's happening outside of Facebook or social media, get a hold of Jeff Robbins here at the studio. That's Jeff at cityofsunprairie.com, and give him the information, and we'll make sure that we get that on the air for you right away. Would love to do that for you and make sure that we get all of the different festivities up there and events that are happening in Sun Prairie. Don't forget, on Friday night is going to be the first playoff game for football. Mike Powers and I will bring you the Sun Prairie Cardinals, and Jameson Rabbit, Steve Sabaki will be broadcasting from DeForest for the Wolves game against DeForest. And guys, I think DeForest has got them. I think they can do it. I really do. They've got it in them. They pull together, they will beat DeForest. And DeForest is a powerhouse, man. They've been something for a long time. They really have, I tell you. Let's do this. Let's go back to some music, and I'll see what else I can dig up. How about this? A little bit of Journey first thing on Monday morning. A little bit of Wheel in the Sky right here on 103.5 WLSP. Good morning, everybody.
We're home Friday. We're going to do the fourth, sorry.
Good morning, Mara.
Hi, Mara.
Okay, I'm back. Hey, Steven, what's going on, buddy? Mr. Elmer. And I'm going to be getting out of here too. I'm going to go away. Glad that you could join us this morning. Hope you got some wonderful information, good information, a little bit of education on the referendum. On the other view, the opposite view, we had, of course, Brad Sarin and Steve Schrader in a few weeks ago talking about what the referendum was all about. And I just make those educated decisions. We've got an election coming up here shortly. Do your homework. Learn what is really going on. Reach out to these candidates. Talk to them. Don't listen to the ads on TV. They are horrible. Or as I'd say, they're terrible, and I don't like them. So get to know the representatives that you're about to elect. And so it's important. It does affect you and your future and your community, and I'd like you to take the time to do that. Look into the referendum and make your own decision on this and what you want to do coming up. We got great school districts and we got to support them, but is this referendum what you want to do? And I'm not going to tell you. It's your choice. Hey, again, remember that we will be doing a repeat on Wednesday because the Media Center will be changing its software for the radio station, so we got to be educated before we can start using that, and don't want to do it on the air. And so the entire staff will be working on that this Wednesday, but we'll be back on the air next Monday for sure. Don't forget to join us on Friday for the Sun Prairie Cardinals and Sun Prairie Wolves as they begin their playoff bid for the state championship in football. So would love for you to join us. Mike Powers and I will bring you the game against with Cardinals versus Oregon, and then Steve Sabaki, Jameson Rabbit will bring you play-by-play for the Wolves. The Wolves game will be on Kids 4, and you can find the Cardinals game on KSUN. So, hey, until next time, next Monday, or until Friday, I am out of here, and have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. And don't forget, it's snowing. And plus, remember this, we're one day closer to spring. Right here on 103.5 WLSP. Oh my gosh, my mouth stopped working. Home station of the year, did I tell you that? Your station did it. Woohoo! Bye, Sun Prairie. Facebook Live. Thanks for being on Facebook. Love you guys. I'm out.